Today we have the privilege, nay, the honor, to experience the stories of some of our neighbors here at the R.O.C.C. Christina and Joe, can you guys come up here? Can we give them a round of applause? We have been working with them for some time. I'm not sure how long. They'll probably tell you all the details. And one of the things that I really appreciate about you guys and your organization is sometimes we'll be in staff meeting and like, we had someone come up, we don't have the resources, we don't know how to help them. The other places are closed down, and Carrie will be like, the R.O.C.'s open, you know, like they have the resources, they have the people. We know that they'll be able to be helped there. And so it's a very tangible, very real way to be for the neighborhood, which is part of our church's like motto. So we are excited to have you guys and excited to hear your presentation. Please give it up for them again. Here's Christina.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you for having us here today. Like he said, my name is Christina Corco. I'm the Executive Director at the Recovery Outreach Community Center. We are your neighbors. We're about 3 miles down the road past Lancaster. And what we do is we are a peer-ran community center that focuses on wellness and recovery. We have a wonderful slideshow we're going to show you and tell you a little bit more about our organization. And after the service, we'll also be out in the hall here set up to tell you a little bit more about our organization if you have questions. So I'm going to hand this over to Jill Bird. And here you go, Jill.
Thank you. Thank you again for having us. I'm Jill Bird. I am the communications manager at R.O.C.C, and I'm a traditional health worker, and that means I'm a peer support specialist and a peer wellness specialist, and I work in mental health. As we go through the slideshow, you'll learn a little bit more about the different things that we are able to offer. So we are vibrating, so that means we're good. Okay, so here we go. So Recovery Outreach Community Center, R.O.C.C, as we affectionately call it, is a peer-run, trauma-informed community, creating safe spaces for all. This is our mission statement. This is what we're about. We want people to have a safe space to be. Whether you're unsheltered, having mental wellness challenges, struggling with addiction, in recovery, just need a break and someplace to be, we're the place for you to be. And so we are open 7 days a week. We run off 3 principles on top of our mission statement, and those are the source of R.O.C.'s power is peer-to-peer relations. By sharing story and experiences, we lead each other into hope. Our second principle is self-direction and personal recovery, and is R.O.C.'s goal. To be able to lead and control and choose your own recovery path will achieve a self-determined life. And something I want to add here is that when we use the term recovery, automatically, in general, most people think addiction. Yeah. We are in recovery for addiction, for mental wellness, houseless, when you're coming in off the streets and you need to learn how to live again. You're in recovery from that. Trauma and grief, transitioning from incarceration back into the community. Those are all things that you have to recover from. So recovery for us is a very broad term. My recovery is in mental health. I don't have an addiction past, but I definitely am in recovery from mental health. So our third principle is R.O.C.C requires respectful conduct and encourages the voice of all. We must instill hope in the individual while fulfilling the values of the group. So these are just 3 very important things that we kind of run by. And as far as our staff, we have a tremendous staff with a great deal of diversity. We are all state certified traditional health workers. We have peer support specialists, we have peer wellness specialists, and we have certified recovery mentors. And those are all governed by the state of Oregon. We're very well trained, we have to recertify, we have to continue our education. And so we work through the Oregon Health Authority and MACBO, which is the mental health, and it's MACBO, Mental Health and Addiction Certification Board. And so there's 2 different organizations that we go through for that.
I can chime in here for just a second. One reason why the training is so important to us is because we're all peers, yes, and so all of my staff has a little bit of experience with addiction or mental health or incarceration or grief or trauma. All these things, a lot of them cross over, but we get the training, so we not only have that lived experience where we can connect, but we also can do it the right way. So we are not doing harm. We were doing it in a healthy way where we can help guide them and walk shoulder to shoulder with them through their recovery and wellness journey.
Yes. Nope, you're good. We tag team off of each other. So, but yes, so trauma-informed care is very important to us. So we get some amazing trainings, and everybody has their own thing that they like to be up on. And so trauma-informed is very important to us. And so I would like to tell you about some of our programs and activities. Here's an example of one of our calendars. So you can see that it is packed full. This is 1 month of fun. We have support groups and individual support. So you can come in and hang out in the drop-in center, play games, visit. A lot of time a conversation leads to a real deep and important one-on-one support session. We also do resource navigation. So, when you're coming in and trying to get your life together and whatnot, it is really overwhelming. Who do I call? How do I get a hold of them? I don't have a phone.
Paperwork.
How do I fill out this paperwork? They can only do it online, and I don't know how to use a computer. We're here for that. We help with all those things. We have support groups. We currently have around 16 different support groups that are offered 7 days a week. And so that is something that's very nice. We've started doing evening groups to where people that work during the day are able to join in if they're interested. And right now, almost everything's on Zoom, but we also offer them live in the centers. So
going through a little soft transition to where, when COVID hit and everything, we were all in person. We never heard of this thing called Zoom. And, like the rest of the world, we went and turned our program on its head and got the Zoom going so we could still reach out to our people. So now that, restrictions and everything are lessening, we are trying to get our groups to go hybrid. And so what we're doing now, we got all the equipment, and it's officially going to go hybrid at July 1st, but right now we're kind of stumbling through it and learning it. And so we're not advertising that, but right now you can come for live groups, and we'll also be online, kind of like we are now. So, yeah.
Okay, and then we also have things like hygiene items and clothing. We have a special storage container where, as donations of clothing and things like that come in, we clean them and size them and get them together to where they can easily be handed out if somebody's in need. We've had people show up at the center with no shoes on or no coat in the rain and things like that. So we like to have those things on hand to be able to give them. But yeah, so pretty much if you have a need, you can come into R.O.C., and we are going to help navigate through that need and figure out what it is that you're looking for.
And if we don't, that's really loud.
She likes the loud one.
If we don't have it, we know somebody who does.
Yep.
So we have beautiful community partners.
Yes. Some of the groups, these are just some examples of some of the groups we have. We have a good following on Facebook. I know that's the old people one, but that's what I know. So that's where we advertise a lot of our groups and things like that.
We are trying to get into Instagram and YouTube, but
and Twitter.
We're struggling. So
yeah,
Facebook's where to find us, really.
Yeah, really. So our drop-in center is a safe place for people. We have computers for them to use, charging devices for all the different phones. A lot of folks that live out on the streets don't have access to those things. And so we make sure we have those. There's always coffee and snacks, books, games. Uno is very fun in the drop. Aggressive, though.
It's almost a blood sport. It
Yes.
really is. I mean,
Yeah. People cheat. You can cheat in Uno.
cheating in Uno. It's real.
Yeah, Lane Corco, I'm looking at you. And lots of conversation. And the conversation's the best part, in my opinion. I love it. We learn so much about people and about each other. I just learned something new about one of our board members today, so it's always fun. And we have lots of different activities. We do game nights and art, movie nights, community meeting. Community meeting's really fun because that's something we like our people to have a say in what we're doing in the center. And so if we're planning a field trip, if we're planning other things, if there's a problem, it's the time we get together, have a meal, and everybody's welcome to come to that and have a say. If there's something specific somebody thinks is lacking in the drop-in center, then that's the place to say those things. We have a drum circle. We have pop art. A lot of people do the wine and canvas. We are a recovery center, so we do soda pop. And that's been a hugely popular event.
And I just want to say, I want to give a huge shout out to Loretta,
Loretta.
because she's our activities director. Say hi, Loretta. Well, yes. We'll bring her up in a minute so you guys can hear a
Yeah.
little bit more about her.
Yeah. And we're open 7 days a week. So we are open 365 days a year. Homelessness doesn't end, unfortunately, and mental wellness challenges don't end, and addiction doesn't end. And so we are open 7 days a week for them. And so we always try to do a little holiday gathering so that everybody has some place to be. And so here's just some pictures. What we do these field trips called rock outs. And so we have a couple passenger vans, and we're able to load people up and go to the beach or Silver Falls. Sometimes we have rock inns and do karaoke and things like that.
I want to chime in here too. So a lot of time in recovery with mental health or, with addiction, having fun is something you have to relearn. So, and it's important that we have this community where we can relearn how to have good fun, that doesn't have to do with alcohol, drugs, and we have a community to do it in, so.
And it can be done. There's fun. Oh, yep. And so here's some of our pop art. We did jellyfish one time, and then a little treescape with a rainbow, and then yoga out on the beach when we go. So we always make our events fun and the activities fun. We do outreach as well. So we do street outreach. We have an Adopt a Street program where we have a section of Salem that we clean up. And then we also attend different events like they're called We See You events. And so they pop up once a month or so anymore, it seems like. And a bunch of different organizations get together, go to where the people need us. So whether it be at a camp, or at Arches, or out south, lots of different locations. There was a church not that long ago that we did one at. And so we get together with our community partners, and we all set up tables, and we're there to offer what they need. We also delivered Thanksgiving meals to people living on the streets. So another part of our outreach is doing camp cleanups. Mustang Ridge is a construction company here in town that has generously donated a dump trailer for us to be able to go out, clean up, and then they pay for us to dump the materials. People don't want to live in the messes that we're seeing. When we show up, they generally jump right up and start helping clean up because they don't have the access to anything to be able to do that. So it's been a really beneficial program for us. And then one thing that we do also is when there is a need in our community, we step up and fill a gap if there's one. COVID-19 took us all by surprise and ruled our lives for 2 years. And so we couldn't sit back and not respond to it. We partnered with the Oregon Health Authority and started doing COVID outreach and education, as well as wraparound care. So if people were down with COVID and out of work and missing work, rather than let them get behind on their bills and things, we were able to pay their rent, pay their mortgage, deliver them groceries so that they could stay home, stay safe, keep the community safe, and still, just rest and heal.
And give them the emotional support they needed during that time, because what a hard time.
Yeah, we saw patients from infants up to 85, I think was my oldest. We had patients pass away while we were helping them. My dad passed away while we were doing this from COVID. So COVID was big for us. And so what we did is we developed a support group. It was called Getting Candid About COVID, where people could come and just vent. If they needed to vent, if they needed accurate information, that was something that we were able to provide through the Oregon Health Authority. And so we also did vaccine events. This is my son getting his vaccine. I may or may not have bribed him to do it, but yes, he got vaccinated and thankfully has not, as of yet, caught COVID. But yeah, so we did a lot of outreach, education, wraparound care. We even, at our vaccine events up in the canyon, we even went and picked people up from their homes if they didn't have transportation and brought them to us and then took them home, fed them and took them home, so.
Yeah, and we have a party. There's always music, there's always food. We're big about music and food, so.
We're big on food and we're big on fun.
Yes,
so
and fun.
Whoever thought getting a shot could be fun, but it is. And then we also have so we've been talking about R.O.C.C. And so R.O.C.C is located right down Silverton Road. We also have Sanium Outreach Community Center. It's our rural Marion County center. It's up in Mill City. And so a while back, a few years ago, 5 years ago? Yeah, we've been here, they're almost 3 years now. Santiam Outreach Community Center, there is a huge need for resources up in the canyon. This was pre-fire, and post-fire, there's even more needs. So we partnered with R.O.C.C and opened up a center. R.O.C.C is there and able to offer rent assistance and deposit assistance and help with utilities and things like that. And then we're there for the mental health and wellness and trauma and those things. And the resource navigation is a huge thing that we do up there.
And let me chime in there. So, and another part of what we did is when we came together with R.O.C.C, we were like, okay, we want to bring this underserved community resources that aren't there. I mean, people that live up in the canyon, they do not want to come down. Yeah, they want to stay up there in the hills. They're comfortable there. So we've been able to get places like Fostering Hope, so Catholic Community Services, Easter Seals,
Home youth.
Home Youth to come up there and provide their services to that underserved neighborhood, which is
We
wonderful.
even have family building blocks coming now and doing a play group once a month with little babies. So
And we offer this space to our community partners free of charge. So,
yeah, and so we did a warming and cooling center there as well. Lots of community partner meeting spaces. In 3 years, we've won the Nonprofit of the Year award twice. Yes, very, very proud of that. Very proud of that. And so up there, we were dealing with COVID, and then we had the wildfires come through, and that was a challenge. Here's some pictures. This is a mandala that we all painted at the grand opening up in the corner, and then some donations, and we have a guest art wall, and it's just a lovely center. If anybody ever wants to come up, we're open Wednesday through Saturday, 10 to 5. And so some of the services we do, we have a free little library. I noticed your guys is outside too. I think that's cute. We also have a community pantry. In our area, the food banks are only open 2 days a week. And so we decided to do a giving tree, community pantry, and so people can come take what they need and leave what they're able. We also have a refrigerator on our back porch with perishables in it. And that pantry has been busy, busy, busy. It's very loud when it opens, and so we hear when people are coming in. It's outdoors, so they can get in there 24/7. Let's see, we do resource rodeos, which we have one coming up on the 22nd. This one we're pushing 30 different organizations, ranging from Department of Human Services to Fido's Pet Food Bank. The Northwest Hub is coming to do bike repairs and maintenance for anyone. They're taking bike donations. So people are going to be able to come get signed up for Oregon Health Plan, get signed up for SNAP benefits. If they have questions about their benefits, they can come get those answered. We have somebody coming from the Fair Housing Act, Coalition of Oregon. And so it's a huge, wide variety of groups coming. So we're super excited about that.
and there'll be music and food.
And there'll be music and food, yes. Let's see. And so wildfires, they were a traumatic experience for us. I live in Mill City. She lives in Gates. We both had to evacuate. The picture down here, that is me driving through flames trying to get out of there. And then this is down the road from Christina's house, the other two pictures that I took. And that's the hillside that we can see from our house. So it was very real and it was very traumatic. And so, again, there was a need. And we filled that need by offering a support group that was well attended. And
not only support group, we also help people fill out FEMA paperwork, which is no easy task.
no, it's not.
So,
We all learned that
yes.
year. And so, yeah, lots of FEMA paperwork, insurance paperwork, people coming in, I don't know what this means, can you help me, And so it's been a labor of love,
We're
definitely.
still recovering in that community, is still recovering.
Yeah. But the joy is that our windows face Highway 22, so every time a load of trusses go by or every time a mobile home goes by, we know somebody's getting their home, and that's exciting.
Yes, because Detroit and Gates lost over half of their homes that were there. So
Yeah.
it's a beautiful thing to see them come. through
Yeah. This is our warming center we did for the first time. We were activated for 50 days, and we were occupied for 40 of those days. It was a very busy and very exciting and very rewarding situation. We were able to get 3 unsheltered individuals sheltered. One of them had been living in the woods for 7 years in a tent and needed a very bad surgery, badly, and nobody could operate on him because he didn't have someplace safe and clean and sanitary to go heal. We were able to get him into a program that was able to provide his transport and feed him and keep him safe. And he's now on his 3rd surgery because it was so bad they had to go in twice more.
But while he's been in there, Easter Seals has been able to come alongside them and get him housed, so he doesn't have to go back to living in the woods.
Yep.
So that's
so when he's done with his medical issues, he will go home to a home, and we're very excited for that. Yes. And he's the sweetest guy. And he's a veteran, and we need to take care of our people. But yeah, so it was fun. We watched movies. We had hot dinners together. Got to know a lot of people. A lot of people up in the canyon think, oh, there's not homeless up here. Well, there is. They just live in the woods, or they live in a trailer with no utilities. It looks different up in the canyon than it looks in Salem. So it was very successful, and we will definitely do it again next year. And so other ways that we rock, yuck, 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 we fill those gaps in services. We're a grassroots, community-based organization. All of our staff has lived experience. There's not one of us. You don't qualify to be a traditional health worker unless you have lived experience and are living a good recovery life. Above all else, we advocate for our peers, and recovery is possible. And then we do have our 2 centers. So we have R.O.C.C and we have R.O.C.C, and now we are getting ready to open PC Rock in Polk County and Dallas next month. So we're excited about that.
I would love to have all of you. You're officially invited. On July 15th, we'll be having a barbecue in Dallas to celebrate our grand opening. I'll give Carrie some more information about that. So, yes.
Yep. And then we do not heal in isolation. We heal in community. That is a big thing for us. So thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. So I know we've taken more time than we were supposed to, but I would like to invite my staff and my board up here just to introduce them. And I also wanted to touch base. So you guys offered your beautiful church up to us so we could, and partnered with us to put on a spring fling Easter extravaganza. And while we were here doing that extravaganza, we didn't know if we were going to have 20 people, 200 people. You know, there was food. So Sancho's Tacos was here doing tacos and all this stuff. So anyways, while we were there, Loretta, our artist here, she had drawn on a blank canvas a mandala. And everybody in your community, in our community, that came, over 500 people, painted on this mandala. And then Loretta put a little extra love in on it. But we'd like to give this to you guys. This is what the community did. So we thank you so very much for your generosity and letting us use this beautiful church and the beautiful gym. It was a wonderful day, and we hope to partner again. Just real quick, can I have go and introduce yourself and say who you are?
Hi, I'm Loretta Costello. I'm Activities Director for Recovery Outreach Community Center.
Hi, I'm Jessica Carpenter. I'm Vice President of the board, and I've been with R.O.C.C on their board for about 4 or 5 years now. And I grew up in this community, and I raised my family in this community, and I'm just really proud of everything we do.
My name is Becca. I'm the owner of Becca Makes Buttons, a pinback button making company. In 1989, well, I'm proud to serve on the board for R.O.C.C. And in 1989, I lived there when it was the SOS shelter with my mother and my sibling. So everything that they do, I support and I stand for and I love, because these programs work. Everything matters, everything counts. You can live on the street, and you can recover, and you can have a successful business, and you can have your life however you want. And recovery is definitely possible.
Thank you, guys, and thank you for giving us all this time. And one more thank you to Carrie. Carrie has been so amazing. Carrie found us. She is awesome.
Thank you guys for sharing. I have one more question for you guys. Stay up here on stage, please. I have one more question for you guys. What is one of your biggest needs for the community, from people from the church, that you guys need to help your ministry thrive?
You know, help with our community pantry would be great. We need snacks. So we go through so many snacks. Ah! Yes. So we go through so many snacks, and oh my gosh, thank you so much. We are strong.
We have a gift for you guys.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. We're going to have the board and staff come up and pray a blessing over them. So if you're part of the board or staff, come up and we're just going to pray a blessing over our neighbors here to send them out with a blessing. So please.
I get real excited over a cup of soup and granola bars. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
All the snacks.
Great. We needed it, yes.
Father God, we just thank you. As many know that my life has been lived in recovery. Lord, you work many different paths through our lives. God, I thank you for this group of people who you have brought, who you have packed a lunch so that they have the ability to share that story with others and help lead them toward recovery, hopefully leading them also towards you. In Christ's name we pray over them. Amen.
Amen.
Let's give them another round of applause. Thank you guys again. Thank you. Thank you. All right, we have a message. Me and Caleb were able to video record a message from him last night, and he is able to share that, and we are going to play that now. And I'll come up and close this afterwards.
Welcome, church. Hey, I'm so glad you got to meet Christina and the R.O.C.C. My name's Caleb Herring. If I haven't met you, I'm the pastor at the church here. I'm home with our family because we've got some COVID going through, but we're all okay. Don't worry about us. We'll be fine. But I do want to connect with you over our series in the trees. I can't not want to share this myself because I was just so excited about what the text says and what you already heard from the R.O.C.C. You heard from the R.O.C.C. one of the things that they do is hire folks who've experienced recovery and experience, the hardships of struggling through addictions or working through the different mental health challenges maybe you heard of, and they have them now employed to help others do that. And that is so awesome and so amazing, and it's so what God does, because God keeps the stumps. God keeps the stumps. Yeah, I'll say it one more time. You can say it with me if you want. God keeps the stumps. There's a reason why those folks and that strategy of showing people, and helping people from a place of knowing personally what it's like to go through some of those hardships. There's a reason why that works. And we see today in the text today how God shows us, even in his own kingdom, that's how he works. So check it out. In Isaiah chapter 10, verse 33, this is what it says. Now, if you're looking for the book of Isaiah, it's kind of in the middle area after Psalms and Proverbs. It's a book that's all about judgment and hope. It's a book about a lot of prophecy and visions and messages to God's people about judgment and about hope. So we're gonna see a little bit of that in just this little text that we're gonna be using today. So in verse 33, chapter 10, it says this: "Look, the sovereign, the Lord of hosts, will lop the boughs with the terrifying power. The tallest trees will be cut down, and the lofty will be brought low. He will hack down the thickets of the forest with an axe, and Lebanon with its majestic trees will fall." Now, this whole imagery of a tree, I just want you to be aware, this tree represents the Assyrian Empire. Now, the Assyrians were enemies to God's people. Why are they in charge, or what's this whole idea of them being powerful and mighty? Well, in this dream, in this vision, it talks about them being a mighty tree because the people of Israel are under their rule. The people of Israel have actually have caused themselves to be oppressed by the Assyrians because of their disobedience. It was a consequence. So here we see judgment. because the people of Israel weren't following God in this time period that we're talking about, the Assyrian Empire grew up strong and powerful and conquered them. However, we see also a little bit of hope already. We see these trees being cut down. So let's follow what happens after these trees get cut down. It says in chapter 11, verse 1, a shoot shall come out from the stump of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots. Now, you need to know the name Jesse, stump of Jesse, is a picture or a name that would tell us as readers that there is going to be this idea of a king. Stump of Jesse. Jesse is the dad of David, the king of David, who for many, many messages and prophecies, it talks about, the David being the line of a new king, a Messiah, who's going to, bring a new kingdom. We know that person as Jesus, So the stump of Jesse, I want you to think this is, a foreshadowing of Jesus, like who he is and what's to come from his kingdom. And so I want you to pay attention of what it says about this person. We're going to just imagine, put the person Jesus in this as what happens when he grows up and his kingdom comes. It says, the Spirit of the Lord shall rest on him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and the fear of the Lord. His delight shall be in the fear of the Lord. He shall not judge by what his eyes see, or decide by what his ears hear. But with righteousness he shall judge the poor, and decide with equity for the meek of the earth. Continues. He shall strike the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips he shall kill the wicked. Now, I love this image and illustrations, because if I were to look through this with the lens and maybe be thinking about the person of Jesus and seeing like, man, where do I see maybe Jesus' words striking the earth? And the story of Jesus' arrest comes to my mind. The story of when the guards and Judas ask Jesus, or they say like, are you the one who were to arrest? Is this your name? Are you who we're here for? And Jesus would say, I am he. He says, I am, whatever they're trying to get him to say about himself. And just him speaking, the words that he speaks causes the guards to take a few steps back and fall over as if the earth had been struck. Isn't that interesting? And that if these were to be connected, and I think that perhaps they could be like, that's just such a powerful image of that actually coming true through that scene is so powerful. Verse 5 says, righteousness shall be the belt around his waist, and faithfulness the belt around his loins. And loins is just that region in the abdominal region, where you get the word tenderloins. It's that lumbar region, that kind of lower back all the way around. And so this idea of like there's faithfulness and righteousness that are holding up this person of Jesus. Like it's righteousness and faithfulness. And now, if you were to have all these things, if you have the spirit of counsel and wisdom and understanding and this fear of the Lord and this righteousness and this faithfulness and the words that are so powerful, what would that kingdom look like? What would the effect of that be on the earth? Now, that's where this text goes. And I want you to be thinking about these contrasting things. Like, it's so contrasting that's like, really? It's unbelievable. And so I want you to pay attention to this. It says in verse 6, the wolf shall live with the lamb. The leopard shall lie down with the kid, like a baby goat. The calf and the lion and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them. Not an adult, not someone who has a master's degree, not someone who's a CEO, not someone who is an elder, an authority figure, a little child. The cow and the bear shall graze, their young shall lie down together. And the lion shall eat straw like the ox. The nursing child shall play over the hole of the asp. Now, like a bumblebee's nest, so a 6-month-old will be hanging out, playing right near a bee's nest, and any parent, any good parent, would never let their 6-month-old crawl, come near, look at, touch a bumblebee's nest. But we read it here. A weaned child shall put its hand on the adder's den. They will not hurt or destroy on all of my holy mountain. For the earth will be full of the knowledge of the Lord as the waters cover their sea. Meaning all of those things that don't necessarily go together. 6-month-old, bumblebee's nest, a lion or a wolf and a lamb, all of these different things that it's going to be okay. No hurt is going to happen in those places. Because in verse 10 it says, on that day, the root of Jesse shall stand as a signal to the peoples. The nations shall inquire of him, and his dwelling shall be glorious. So this kingdom, when all these things are in play about this person with the Spirit on him, this is going to be what it looks like. And so if we're going to continue to kind of look at the New Testament and the person of Jesus, he gives some practical advice on how to bring about this kingdom, because he says the kingdom of heaven is near. Excuse me. And what he does is he gives some practical advice on how to bring that kingdom near by bringing the lion or the wolf and the lamb in a place that looks like this. He gives us practical advice on how to make, what doesn't seem like it should ever go together. A person of power, person who's on the top of the food chain, the wolf, and the person who's vulnerable on the bottom of the food chain, a lamb, be able to be among each other. Like he gives, how do you do that? And perhaps you're sitting there today well, how do you do that? How do you bring two opposites together? Well, Jesus in the Sermon on the Mount does it, very practically. He says, if a Roman guard or if someone asks you to walk 1 mile or carry his things for 1 mile, go 2 miles. If someone asks for your cloak, give them your coat too. If someone slaps you on one cheek, you turn the other. Love your enemies. Pray for them. Those who have authority and power over you, and you being vulnerable in order to bring peace and harmony and where you are called to pray, to give, to do more. And that is what his kingdom, steps towards that kingdom looks like that. But here's the thing, because sometimes we think, oh man, how could God use me today? I have so many things about my life that I feel are liabilities when it comes to following God, or people wouldn't want me to help because of all the things I've done in my past. Maybe there's things you're here today holding on to as maybe they're holding you back from serving, or maybe you're using them as a way to maybe make an excuse to not want to join a small group or not want to serve as a greeter or usher because you think, oh man, the things I've done before count me out of being able to do those things today. Let me tell you, God keeps the stumps. God keeps the stumps. God keeps the stumps. The very, very, very beginning, it says the root of Jesse comes, the stump of Jesse, there's a shoot of Jesse comes out of what? A stump. This whole tree that got cut down. This whole tree that represents the disobedience of God's people. The roots are used from that tree to build a new branch, a shoot, the root of Jesse, to build a new kingdom upon that. So think about this. God does not plant in a new field and create a whole new root system and start from scratch. No, he actually uses the same roots of this tree to build his kingdom on. It's exactly what makes the Rock so special. They don't say, oh, only perfect people can work here. That's exactly the church should be doing too. It's like, oh, we only want perfect people to be serving and being ushers and greeters and pastors and volunteers. Like, no, we would have no one preaching and no one volunteering if that was true. We are a people that should see those roots, those things that are of our past, the things that we've done, before maybe we met Jesus, or maybe as we were kids or teenagers or young adults, maybe even last week, not as liabilities, not as something that keeps us from the love of God, not as something that keeps us from being used by God, not as something that keeps us from being used today. No, those actually should be what inform us, should help us move forward, should be a testimony of how good God is. That man, if he could use those things, if he can draw a new life out of those things, he's really good. And so this is what I want you to do as I wrap up here. I want you to check your mirrors. I want you to check your mirrors. This is what I remember Pastor Doug talking about. Your rear view mirror, you know how it's kind of small? Make sure when you look in the past, when you look what's behind you, the things that kind of maybe have shaped you or formed you and kind of make you the person today, make sure you use them as rear view mirrors. They're not defining you. They don't define you. They inform you. God is the one who forms you. God's the one that says, okay, that's what's happened in your life. You're a stump. You have a lot of background. It might be messy. It might be complex. But God can use that to move forward and build his kingdom. And so I want you to really be thinking about, as you encounter people who might have gotten through some things that are similar to your life, might have handled some things that you've gone through and you're on the other side of them. I want you to share about those stories. I want you to be open about those stories, because it's actually when we're open and vulnerable and allowing those stories to be spoken of and seen as, man, God could use me even though I've gone through this, like, it brings people in. And that's one reason why I've invited Tamala Unrein to speak for us next week, because she's going to be sharing a really hard story that she's had to work through. It's a story of grief and grieving, where her son died by suicide. And she's going to share that story, and she's going to share her story of grief, because I know mental health and depression and suicide rates are things that are rising and rising and rising, and we need to be a people who sees those things not as liabilities, but as things that God too can show his kingdom as glorious, as amazing, as beautiful. And so I really hope that you guys will see next week as a great opportunity to see how good God is, and maybe invite a friend, maybe invite someone who would see that as a hope. Like there is other people out there, that they're not the only person that struggles with grieving or depression or anxiety. There is a place, a church that's for them, and they're welcome here. And so until next week, check your mirrors. Allow those stories, those things in the past to inform you, to share, so that God can be seen as great. And I hope to see you guys next week.
Hello. Thanks, Senior Pastor Caleb. Let's give him a round of applause. He can hear you through the live stream. Marceline, Alyssa, you guys want to come up? I'm going to close with a benediction, and then we're going to sing God is So Good, as we've been doing the last few weeks. God keeps the stumps. And if you ever feel like a stump in your life, or maybe life is kind of rocky, stumpy, just remember that God keeps it and he grows new things out of it. And that's what he wants to do in your life as well. Okay, so we're going to sing God So Good, led by Marceline. We're going to sing it once in English, then once in Swahili, and then once a third time in whichever language you want. right, thank you. Go in peace. Bless you guys.